Hi, this is Connie, the Prairie Mom, and we're here with a new Instant Pot recipe, and I've got a great helper who's actually going to make this dinner for us. So we're just going to sit here and visit while he does all the work. This recipe came from my sister, not Suzanne that was on the sourdough videos, but my sister Cathy. She is a great cook. She is a busy lady. She makes great use of her Instant Pot. She loves real food. She loves whole foods. So her recipes are always healthy and easy and delicious. So I'm really excited to share this with you. And he's starting, it's Carne Guisada.
Yeah.
And you start with what, Jaden?
You start by chopping your meat into 6 or 7 small. First you chop it in half and then you chop it into 6 or 7 small pieces like this. You need to first turn your pot on saute and then take all your meat that you've cut, put it into...
Here, I'll hold your bowl for you because you don't have to turn it.
And you're going to put it in the bowl. And then of the olive oil, you're going to put that in the meat and then with your taco seasoning.
So now you're going to cut your all the meat.
If they get a little too big, you can chop them in half just to make it cook a little faster and make them brown better.
He's exactly right. And the reason that my sister, this was one of the things about the recipe, she wanted a recipe that cooked meat and beans, roast and beans together, and she couldn't find one. And so she played with it, and one of the reasons was the beans would get done and the roast wouldn't. So she cut her meat in these kind of big chunks, and then she tossed them with the seasonings with a little oil.
Now that you've got all your stuff done, you can put all of it into the bowl with all of the olive oil. Sprinkle it all. Make sure it gets on almost all of the top layer of meat. And then you're going to take your bowl. You're just going to toss your meat around in it.
This is taco seasoning. We just had a bulk little thing of taco seasoning that we mixed up. And how many tablespoons did you use?
I used 3.
3 tablespoons. But you could use little packets of taco seasoning also.
Once there's no any more taco seasoning off the meat, you're gonna take about approximately half of them, and you're gonna just put them in the pot.
And we had our pot kind of preheating a little bit with a little bit of that olive oil. And you have to brown the meat in a couple of batches because it won't all fit on the bottom.
No, not.
By chopping the meat into these big chunks, we'll be able to cook it with the beans, and everything will be done at the same time. Okay, as soon as they're brown, he's turning them over. The meat is looking good and brown, and it smells really good also. It smells really good. So as soon as he's done browning this half of the meat, then we'll put it on a plate and he'll brown the other half. While he's doing that and the meat is finishing browning, then
we can chop the onion.
Then he is going to show you how to chop an onion.
I checked that. The meat is done, so we're just gonna go ahead and put the other half in.
Okay. While the meat is finished browning, Jaden's going to show you how to properly cut an onion. Tell them what you do.
You want to just make little slits in the onion, just to where, as close as you can get to the root. You don't want to cut the root off because then the onion will start to bleed, and lots of tears will come out. And then you just want to keep doing those little slits until you go all the way down. Then you're going to make diagonal slits
like that. Again, as close as you can to the root. And then you're going to keep doing that. You're going to chop them.
Your fingers go this thumb over. There you go. Show the right way to hold it.
And you're going to just then pull it out of the way. And you have nicely fine chopped onions. And no tears involved. So.
Alright. The meat is done. We've got rice cooking over here. I love cooking rice in the Instant Pot. This is brown rice tonight. It cooks on the multi-grain setting if you have an Instant Pot, and I cook it for 25 minutes. I use 1 1/4 cup of water for 1 cup of rice for brown rice. Actually, I use that same ratio for any rice, just the length of time varies. But brown rice will cook just perfectly in about 25 minutes. That should be done probably a little bit ahead of our supper, but we're...
And then once you're done cooking the meat, you're going to take all your onions, a wooden spoon, just scrape them in there. You're going to want to saute your onions until they're like a nice golden brown. That way it'll cook some of like the spice out of them. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. If you like your stuff a little bit more spicy.
Now these little onions got a nice little golden brown layer on them. And that'll cook some of the spice out of the onions, so it won't be as spicy as they were. And you're gonna just leave those in. Add the bell pepper in. Use 1 whole bell pepper. And then just stir those together. You also want the bell pepper to get golden brownish. If you have a different colored bell pepper, it's easier to tell when it's done and when it's not. Like a green one, it actually kind of gets like a golden brown sear on it. So.
Once you're done sauteing all of your vegetables, you can put some of the meat in there. Actually put all of the meat in there. Just to mix it all around with your nicely seared vegetables.
It's going to be a delicious supper. If you could smell it, you would know what's coming.
It smells like fajitas.
It does smell kind of like fajitas.
Just take all of the pieces of meat out, and then you can take all the juice that you have left on your plate and just pour it over them. And that gives the vegetables kind of like a smoky meat flavor. And then, let's see what's next.
Sprinkle the salt over the top. How much salt was that?
That was a 1/2 teaspoon of salt.
A 1/2 teaspoon. Went on. We should not stir it again.
Your tomato juice.
If you'll just halfway do that, yeah, then you can.
And you're just gonna pour the juice all over them. Can is empty. And you can use any kind of tomatoes. I personally like to use Rotel.
We didn't have Rotel tonight. We're actually making several substitutions, but it's kind of like a formula instead of a recipe because there's a lot of places you could go with this. So we use tomatoes, and we're going to add some dried green chilies that we dried from last summer. And so we'll have the onions and green chilies. So we'll have it all.
Mix all that together. We're going to use 1 cup of just dried pinto beans because you can do that now.
You can do that now. So did you pick through these and see if there's any little rocks?
I did. I picked through them to see if there is any rocks, and there was no rocks in that batch.
There's no rocks.
We're just going to make a little layer of pinto beans. Put that on top.
And at this point, you don't want to stir it anymore.
Then the tomatoes. We're going to add the tomatoes on like a layer. And then you're going to add
we're gonna add green chilies.
a couple of
these are
these are some mild green chilies that we dried last summer. So we're just gonna layer those on top.
But you could use chopped jalapenos, you could use a can of diced green chilies, you could use whatever you've got that you'd like to give it a little
And
bit of
if you have
spice.
some frozen chilies, you could just put them in like a block of frozen chilies. You could just put that in there.
Yeah, that's what
and
we did
it'll
last
cook
time.
it down.
Okay, so you need water to get the pot about half full.
Yeah, if you want it more soupy, you could add more water. And you could even add like beef broth or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, beef broth would be delicious.
Like a good substitution or something.
And also, if you were going to make burritos with it, you could cut back on the liquid. You just need enough to cook the beans.
Yeah.
So make sure you get it over your ingredient. All right. And she didn't stir it after she put it in there. Jaden's kind of pushing everything to make sure it's all just under the edge of the water. But you don't want to stir it at this point. You just want to put it in the pot. All right, close your pressure valve. 35 minutes on high pressure using the manual setting, and we'll be back in 35 minutes.
Yep. Our meat is finished, and we're gonna take it out of the pot now.
Okay. And after it cooks the 35 minutes, leave it in the pot about 30 minutes and let it kind of pressure down naturally.
That looks fire.
Like fire. So you can see the green chilies on top, but when we stir it, they'll kind of fall apart. And you can see the beans are fluffy and they look done. They've swelled up. So, all right, so this is not exactly carne guisada. You can go ahead.
Yeah,
He's gonna pull the meat out and shred it.
we're gonna like take the meat. We're gonna find pieces of meat.
It's so tender, it's really already falling apart.
Yeah.
So he'll shred the meat, and you probably could actually just kind of break it up in the pot. This is a little bit where it's different than regular carne guisada because we didn't use tiny pieces and we didn't leave them whole. We just cut big chunks because that was faster and easier. They cooked it in the same amount of time as the beans. They're easy to shred, and you can put them back in the juices and serve them over rice like we're going to do tonight, or you can shred them on the plate, and you can use them for burritos.
What you can use to thicken your sauce, if you wanted like a little like bit of gravy to put over your meat, is you could use glucosamine. It's a konjac root powder that it just helps really thickening stuff up. And if you just add like maybe a 1/4 teaspoon, it'll mix right in and it'll go good.
He's right on that. Cognac root is a fiber and it is super absorbent, so it will thicken things very quickly. And he said a 1/4 teaspoon, and it might take a little more than that, but it definitely wouldn't take more than a teaspoon. It thickens things really fast, and it's low carb, so it's a healthy way to thicken. Also, it's great because you can put it in a little shaker, and you can sprinkle it right on the top of your hot liquids, and as long as you're kind of whisking and working it in, it will thicken it up right away. You don't have to mix it with water or anything else, and it'll make a really good gravy for your carne guisada.
And if you wanted to, you could just add a little bit like cream or something.
Oh, he wants to creamy it up.
Yeah, like real gravy.
You could go all kinds of ways with this.
Yeah, it's very flexible.
I'm gonna set the juice back over here and thicken it a little bit while he's shredding the meat. Then we'll put it all together and we'll have a good Mexican stew that's ready for supper.
Now that our meat is shredded, and then you're gonna take all your meat and just kind of move it into the pot again. Put it in the bottom of your bowl, and then take a little bit of the stuff with a ladle and just drizzle it. And then you have this beautiful bowl of carne guisada.
Carne guisada. It's what's for supper. If y'all enjoyed the video, we'd appreciate a like, maybe a comment to let us know. You can also subscribe to this channel so you get other videos when we put those up. And all the links to all my social media are in the description box, and I would love to see you there. The recipe for this is on my website, theprairiemom.com. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great evening.
Smash that like button.